Hi, my name's Craig, and I'm one of the studio painters for Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Today, I'm going to be showing you a really quick and easy way of painting the skin on one of the Nightkin Super Mutants from the new Vegas expansion. I started by priming the model in black, followed by a zenithal highlight using a white primer. Zenithal highlight is just a spray with a lighter colour from directly above the model to represent the light from the sun at its highest point, or zenith. This gives us an ideal light map for completing the following steps. The defining feature of a Nightkin is the exaggerated musculature that's common of all super mutants. We're going to use the lights and shadows we've established with the primer to simply block in the initial areas of light and shade. I start by painting all the areas of shadow using scale 75 Canterbury blue. This is for all the areas where the white primer hasn't created that highlight, and generally this will be the lower parts of muscles or any areas in permanent shade. Don't worry about being neat at this point, it's all about quickly blocking in those shadows and just continue to go around the model picking out those areas with Canterbury blue. You may need a couple of coats to get a solid coverage. As you can see here, I've finished blocking in that Canterbury blue, and we can already see those areas of shade starting to look more defined. It's also worth noting at this point that I've kept the right arm and weapon separate to give us easier access to all those details when painting. Next, we need to paint the rest of the skin using Vallejo model colour pastel blue. Same process as before, but now hitting all the areas of light and making sure that the entirety of the skin is covered. Don't worry about blending the colour, just block in a solid coverage of pastel blue just as we did in the previous step. Here you can see that we've got all the skin base coated and we're ready for the next stage. And that next stage is to soften the transition between the two previous colours by creating a 1-to-1 mix of Canterbury blue and pastel blue. And then quickly and roughly painting over the transition between the two areas of light and shade. We're keeping the paint at base coat consistency, with just a little water added to let the paint flow better, and we're not looking for a perfect gradient, just a quick coat to soften that transition between the two. We've completed that step, and you can see that the transition is still looking pretty rough. But that's okay because the next stage will smoothen it out. And we do that by applying an all-over wash of blue tone by the army painter. This wash will help us in a few ways. By smoothing the transition between the areas of light and shade, by darkening down that fairly bright pastel blue base coat, and by providing some additional definition to the details, especially in the lighter areas. Apply this quite thinly across the skin and be careful to avoid it pooling in any areas. Once the wash is dry, the skin is a lot darker and closer to the tone we'd expect for a Nightkin, and those transitions between the areas of light and shade are looking a lot smoother too. The next step is to start highlighting the skin, and as this tutorial is designed to be quick and effective, we're only going to add a couple of highlights. But it's really up to you how far you can take these stages. We're going to return to the pastel blue for the first highlight, and apply this to the top end of each area of light, as well as all the raised areas such as knuckles, bridge of the nose, etc. that you'd expect to catch more light. Don't worry if this initially looks too bright, as the paint will darken slightly as it dries. The final highlight will be a mix of 1 part pastel blue and 2 parts model colour pale grey blue. We apply this highlight quite sparingly, keeping within those areas we've previously highlighted and further refining them by picking out the highest points with this lighter blue colour. You can apply this using small dots or rough looking brush strokes in order to add some final texture to the skin. We also use this colour to pick out the most raised areas of the face, using small dots to pick out the bridge of the nose, the top of the forehead, etc. and the chin. And with that, the skin's finished. All that's left is to paint the remaining details and then assemble the rest of the model. And there you go, our Nightkin's complete, and he's ready to head off to the Repcon test site and grab some stealth boys in the service of the great and powerful Antler. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to let us know what you'd like to see in any future painting videos. Bye for now.